Hello, friends. I'm going to try to keep this message brief so as not to overstay my welcome. But I want to talk to the various friends and people I know who have been saying on blogs and on Facebook posts, and I've even seen this on editorial pages, that you would love to support alternative candidates and other parties besides the Democrats and the Republicans, but this is just not the year to do that because the race is so close and the stakes are so high. You may have noticed that every year people say that. But it is true. It's a very close race, and I understand that in the way our votes work, we're sort of corralled into voting strategically for the lesser of two evils, and it seems too dangerous or too costly to vote for an alternative. Okay. Primarily, I'm going to be speaking to liberals who really agree with Jill Stein in the Green Party, or even Stuart Alexander of the Socialist Party. But it can also be translated to apply to my conservative friends who I notice agree more with Gary Johnson and the Libertarians than they do with Mitt Romney and the Republicans. So I'll leave it to you to translate accordingly. I get it. Don't vote for Jill Stein if you're feeling nervous about the outcome of the election. But if you are one of these people who say, I support alternatives, I would love to support a viable alternative, are you willing to do a few small, inexpensive things to start the work of building that viable alternative? I'm going to make a few suggestions for things you can do. Can you contribute a small amount of money to Jill Stein's campaign? Or Gary Johnson's if you're conservative. $20, $10, $5, helping them to spread their message, to reach a wider audience with new ideas, another theory, another approach to the solutions that our country needs. Are you willing to do that? It won't affect Obama's chances of re-election. Are you willing to spend a few minutes and write a few emails to news editors, major newspapers, or your local newspaper, or your favorite television news entertainment show, asking them to please include other parties in their political coverage because you are interested in what they have to say? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to go to cspan.org, that's c-span.org, and click on and watch the third-party debate that C-SPAN hosted? Wonderful thing that they did, hosting Gary Johnson and Jill Stein and Virgil Good, a bunch of candidates, and really giving them some time to explain what their approach is and their solutions and to present themselves as candidates. Would you be willing to go and watch that debate and write an email to C-SPAN thanking them very much for making that available to us as voters? Would you perhaps be willing to go to opendebates.org? Opendebates.org is an organization that is challenging the Commission on Public Debates. The CPD controls the presidential debates, and they get to decide who participates. The Commission on Presidential Debates was created by the two dominant parties and the corporations that pay for them and support these two parties. And not surprisingly, they control the debates so that the messaging is limited to the Democratic and Republican narrative. They allowed Ross Perot to participate in 1992, and that was a strategic decision by President George H.W. Bush, who insisted that Perot be allowed to participate because he thought maybe Perot would be a spoiler in his favor. It didn't turn out that way, did it? And not surprisingly, the next election cycle, Ross Perot was not allowed to participate in the debate. Why? Arbitrary. It was rigged. It's a rigged system. It's not honest. So would you be willing to help support an organizational effort to challenge the Commission on Presidential Debates? There's no constitutional provision making them in charge. They're actually fairly new, and they were created to take control of the debates away from the League of Women Voters and to control who gets to participate. What I'm asking is, if you say you support viable alternatives and want to see alternatives participate in the elections, you're going to have to find a way to support it. You're going to have to find a way to really support it and challenge the status quo. If you like the duopoly and what it does and what it produces, then your job is very clear. But if you have concerns about the duopoly and want to work towards a world where you can vote for another party, are you willing to do that? The last thing I'm going to suggest is, can you support the campaign to expand instant runoff voting? A few municipalities have adopted this. It's a wonderful thing. It's basically like a runoff election, except it happens all at once. And it's tabulated when you vote, when you count the votes. And in this system, you have the option, if you want to, of voting for your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, and so on. And if your first choice doesn't win the election outright, they are eliminated and your vote goes towards the second choice. So, liberals, you could vote for Stuart Alexander as your first choice, or Jill Stein. And once they don't take once they don't take the majority of votes, your vote then goes to your second choice, who might be Barack Obama, for instance. So you wouldn't be spoiling the election. You could actually cast a vote for the candidate that you think is best, which is what we should be able to do, don't you think? There are lots of solutions available to us. So don't vote for an alternative. But if you are going to say that you support alternatives and want to see that happen, join us. Please help us make that happen. So thank you very much, and happy Election Day in advance, and God help us all.